Could you speak to the importance of protein and the myths about overconsumption of protein more?
Well, the main myth about protein consumption is that it's going to harm your kidneys. Some people say it harms your liver. I mean, there's really no evidence for that. There's no evidence for it harming your kidneys either. It's just a supposition. So there's a lot of things in medicine that I've learned since exploring things on my own and looking through literature on my own that are literally just based in no science and not even any actual real study or evidence or even physiological sort of thought process. It was just like you sort of think about it and they just be like, oh yeah, that kind of sounds right. We don't really know one way or the other, so let's just pretend it's this way until we know better. But the problem is that they just keep perpetuating that. And when things are just repeated a certain number of times, people just believe that as fact. They believe it as truth. And so that's what happened with protein. They said that, oh, if you eat protein, you'll cleave off this nitrogen group. That nitrogen gets turned into ammonia, which then gets turned into urea. And then you have to excrete that urea through your kidneys. And we look at urea levels as one of the markers of kidney function. We also look at creatinine. That's really what we look at. But if your urea is up, we think, ooh, something's wrong. But no, not really, because your urea is actually one of your body's strongest anti-inflammatories. So actually having more of that, isn't necessarily a bad thing if it's physiological, if your body is doing that on its own. When you're sick, this is sometimes can be a marker of inflammation. Someone has a bad pneumonia and you look at the urea, if it's above a certain amount, you say like that person's really sick. Okay, well, is that because their kidneys are shutting down or is that because their body's trying to mount a response to fight this infection? Probably the latter. When, we actually looked at this and looked at studies and studied this, we actually found the opposite. Actually, there were studies that showed that in fact, the more protein you ate, the better kidney function you had. Right. This is basic. There's always think about things at first principle. Just drop it down to as base of a level as we can. What do we do when we're eating? What are we trying to achieve when we're eating? We are trying to give our bodies the building blocks necessary to build and maintain meat. We are meat. You are what you eat. Okay. So why aren't we eating meat? Okay. We need the building blocks to make meat. Meat has everything you need, flat out, plain and simple. It's like, oh, meat's going to have like different things that are carcinogenic. Like that's had something in it that's carcinogenic. That's just going to cause cancer just because it's in my body. Probably not. So, that's just, it doesn't pass the smell test to say that these things have all these toxins and poisons. And it's like, well, that means that we're riddled with toxins and poisons. Are we though? Not in the inherent nature of our own bodies. That doesn't make any damn sense.